Hello and welcome to this episode of Music with Tony Toppi. Today we'll be doing a bit of a double episode. We'll be looking at harmonic and melodic minor scales. And as with all oral and theory exercises that we look at in this series, we are going to learn how to write them, how to sing or play them, and of course tips on how to hear them. So my starting point with the minor scales here is always the natural minor scale. Prior to that, the major scale, but let's go from the natural minor scale. So there is an episode on natural minor scale which I encourage you to go ahead and revise, but we'll stick simply and we'll start with the A natural minor scale. As we know, A natural minor relates to C major, so there are no sharps and flats, which makes this particular scale one of the easier ones to demonstrate what we need to do with the harmonic and melodic minors. So first of all, we're going to write our 8 notes starting on A, working our way all the way up to the top A, and I'll put my solfa because that's going to be useful later on. So that's just straight from the major scale. Sounds something like this. So this is our starting point. The next sort of level down, we'll say, is how we get to the harmonic. And it's only one note that changes. If you've done the AMEB method or you've worked on the Master Your Theory books, you'll hear this concept of the raised seventh. The concept is actually the same, just I use solfa. So once again, I'm going to put in my 8 notes. The 7th note in this instance is actually over here, and it's the note on so. So we have to raise that by a semitone to create the harmonic minor scale. So becomes C. And if it's, and here's my little diagram once again, natural, sharp, flat. So if we want to raise the pitch, we go to the right. If we want to lower, we go to the left. So this G is already a natural over here in the natural minor scale. So to make it into a harmonic, I need to raise it. So the natural becomes a sharp, and we get this sort of a sound. So the harmonic minor scale actually gives a bit more of a close to the top of the scale than the natural minor does. There's a whole history behind the scale and how it's used, etc. We're not going to go into that here, but suffice to know that we have to raise that 7th note. So once again, from the natural minor, we are going to come down here to the melodic minor. So I'll just make a note of this one here. Harmonic minor, and this one will be a melodic minor. Now this is a bit of a 2-step scale because it's different on the way up and on the way down. Similar concepts will apply with raised notes, etc. But let's have a look. So for this one, and you have to read your question very carefully in an exam situation, whether or not you need to write both octaves going up and down, or if you just need to write one version, up or down. So let me put my solfa, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa. Actually, I'm going to leave that out for the minute, as I will with the so, and then la's in the middle there. La, ti, do. Okay, so on the way up, for a melodic minor. On the way up, I'll write it down here. On the way up, fa becomes fi, so we raise the note, and so becomes si, so we raise that also. Fi and si. On the way down, we reverse it. Fi goes back to fa, and si goes back to so. So we'll have to put our natural symbols there because we've already had the sharps previously. So if you're using your common music reading skills, if an accidental appears at the beginning of the bar, it applies for the whole bar on that particular note. We're going to assume that these scales are written in one bar. So I'll put a little bar line there just so we can sort of see how that works. So we want to make sure that we're putting the correct naturals and relevant accidentals. Sorry about that. So this is what a melodic minor will sound like. Did you hear that change at the top? I'll play it one more time and see if you can hear the change between the fi, si, and then so far. One little trick that you might notice is that the descending form of the scale is actually the same as the natural minor scale. Just a little trick for you to think about. And the ascending part of the scale is the same as the major scale, except with a lowered third. But they're just little tricks. I find this particular method here to be a bit more comprehensive and a bit more foolproof with regards to getting the right notes. So melodic minor, we've got fi, si, and fa, so. Let's try another example in a different key just to make sure we've solidified our knowledge here. And I will, just for fun, change to the bass clef for all you bass clef readers out there. And let's go with G minor. So this is going to be a little G minor section here. So we're going to start with our natural minor. We're going to make it into harmonic minor and then into melodic minor. I'll just set up my staves here. So here's the natural minor. G, A. And just to save time, I'll put the flats in as we go. So G natural minor, and I'll play it on the keyboard for you. Convert that into a harmonic, so we have to raise the so to C. So was a natural, it now becomes a sharp and will sound something like this. Oh, apologies. Jumped the gun a bit there, went to the next scale in my piano fingers. So here's the melodic minor. So we're going to write it ascending and descending just for the sake of practice. So I'm up to fa here, and fa, as we know, becomes fi. It's a flat over in the natural minor scale up here. So from our previous diagram up here, flats get raised to naturals. Oops, here we go. So we don't actually need to write the natural because we're at the beginning of the bar and we haven't got any accidentals yet. But just for the sake of making it clear, I'm going to write them in. And then we go to C. Then we return those fi and si back to their original so and fa states, I suppose. So the sharp will become a natural again, and the natural will become a flat again. You needn't write that extra B flat there, but why not? We can do it. It would if you didn't put it, you would still be correct as it is within that bar of music, but there's no harm in writing it again, even just for your own surety that you've got the right notes. So here's our G melodic minor. And there you have it. So I encourage you to go and write out these scales in a variety of different keys just to understand how they function and work, but be very careful of how you use your accidentals. To raise a flat, it becomes a natural. To raise a natural, it becomes a sharp. To lower a sharp, it becomes a natural. To lower a natural, it becomes a flat. There may be some instances where you may have to go beyond that, and a sharp will be raised to a double sharp. So I'll draw that up here for you. It's just that sort of symbol. And I'll have to do it this way here. So then we have the double flat as well. So there will be a couple of instances where that may occur, but they're not rare, but they're certainly there. But just keep them in mind as you're working through. So how do we actually sing and play these? So once again, I'm returning to my solfa method. And I tend to, like how I did in the natural minor video, start from the major and move through the minors. So I'm going to actually sing for you and play at the same time C major scale, and then go through each of the minor scales one after another. It's a long way of practicing, but you get it all in there. So here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la, ti, do, re, mi, fi, si, la, si, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la, ti, do, re, mi, fi, si, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la. And there you have it. I've practiced 4 scales, or the sound of 4 scales in one particular key, and it took me maybe 30 seconds. Go through all 12 keys. You can do the maths of how long that would take you. Not very long at all. And you've not only have you practiced your oral skills, you've practiced your scales on your instrument as well. Be fun with it, played in a couple of octaves if you don't need to use a lot of breath, for example. But yeah, be creative with how you practice your scales, otherwise they can become a bit boring to play. So how do we hear the difference? The way I work things out first is the first 3 notes. We have a minor third between the first 3 notes. That's a minor third right there, as opposed to the major third, which will tell us we're looking at a major scale. So first of all, first thing is the first 3 notes. The first point of difference then becomes the fa note, or the fi note. That's a bit of a tone there between mi and fi, as opposed to the regular semitone that we'd get if it's mi and fa. So if you were to hear a tone between mi and fi, or the 5th and 6th note, you've got yourself a melodic minor scale. Of course, you would listen to the very end of the exercise to confirm that, but we're pretty sure we've got a melodic minor scale. Similarly, if you heard just the semitone here, we have to wait for the next note to work out whether it's harmonic or natural. So if we hear another minor third there, we've got a harmonic minor scale. I tend to think that's a bit tricky. I wait for the last note. If we have a semitone between those last 2 notes, you've got yourself a harmonic minor scale. That is a tone, so, la, and that gives you the natural minor scale. So let's recap. How to hear the natural minor scale. You've got the semitone between mi and fa, and then the tone between so and la. La, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la. The harmonic minor, we still have that little semitone between mi and fa, but then we have a semitone between si, la, to give it more of a stronger ending. La, ti, do, re, mi, fa, si, la, si, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la. And then we have the melodic minor. So we actually get the tone between mi and fi at the beginning. And of course, the big giveaway with the melodic minor is that it's a different set of notes on the way down as it is on the way up. That's your big draw card there. So melodic minor. La, ti, do, re, mi, fi, si, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the harmonic and melodic minor scales, how we write, sing, play, and hear them. If you have any questions or queries or comments, please feel free to send me an email at tonytoppi@me.com.